Hello, Frida here again. Frida Massive Goth Wallace with another video, and I want to talk about this. Okay, first of all, let's not get too excited, okay? I know it's all going to be gossipy. Oh my god, it's going to be India against Rowling. It's going to be like a massive fight in the car park. Everybody pile on. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be really fucking annoying. That's what it's going to be. Because, right, I'm really worried about the media playing this as like J.K. Rowling versus India Willoughby, because this puts India in a really fucking weird position. You know, this is not. We should not be drawing attention to people like J.K. Rowling, even though, yeah, I know she's like the fucking end of level boss and all that shit. But really, opinion is worthless. J.K. Rowling, her thoughts on trans people are worthless. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what she thinks about anything now. You know, if she had some points of view about Harry Potter, I might listen. But that she sold that career down the Swanee because she spent the best part of the last 6 years eternally vexating about trans people. It's all she ever talks about. Like when people say, "Oh, is J.K. Rowling transphobic? Why is she transphobic? When what she said that's transphobic?" It doesn't matter. Just search the hashtag "I stand with J.K. Rowling" and you'll find it. Just ask your Alexa, "Is J.K. Rowling transphobic?" Alexa will tell you. It doesn't matter what J.K. Rowling thinks about me or India Willoughby for that matter. It should just be ignored. But we don't live in that world, do we? Because we know that there's mileage to be made. There's column inches. There's YouTube videos to be made. Okay, yeah. So I am indulging in it. But the reason is because I want to say this, right? This whole thing about misgendering or calling India a man is not the point. The point is that J.K. Rowling has isolated India as a target. That's the point. Now, India has had a strange internet or social media history. Like she's gone through phases of, you know, trans exclusion herself. You know, she has made comments and I thought that was a bit weird. You know. So what? You know, people change their minds. Let's not judge everybody on the tweets from 2009 or whatever. But I have had a spat with India myself because she basically said she was pulling me up on what I was wearing when I was at a debate. And I was like, what the fuck has it got to do with you? What I wear? You know. But that was a minor thing. You know, that was just a bit of to and fro. And it's not about, you know, it's not about bitchiness. It's just this is fucking ridiculous, right? So, what am I saying? So, I wanted to watch this video with you. Let's just find it. There we go. Zoom in. India's done a little piece with Byline Times. Byline Times usually really good, you know. I'm quite impressed with a lot of Byline Times stuff. They do some really good journalists working for Byline Times. It's always worth a read. I do subscribe. But I don't know what the point of this is. I don't know what the purpose of indulging in J.K. Rowling's transphobia is. You know what I mean? And the reason it's got to this point, the reason this has happened is because India has been very, very vocal against somebody that J.K. Rowling has heavily promoted and has seen as a thought leader of the gender critical movement, and that person is Helen Joyce. And Helen Joyce last week was caught by somebody looking at Harry Potter fan fiction porn on a train, which is interesting because Helen Joyce is somebody that always says trans women are porn addicted perverts. So India's obviously running with it. You know, why not? You know, pointing out hypocrisy. So I think that's what's led to J.K. Rowling targeting India like this, because she feels threatened, and rather than deal with her friend who's obviously, you know, made a mistake at putting it that's the most charitable thing you could say about it. Rather than deal with that, she's thought, you know, like any kind of part, like say if you're in an abusive relationship, you like excuse the horrible behaviours of the person close to you and attack the thing outside of you, and that's what she's done. And India has been part of that crossfire for a long time now. But the thing that happened to India happens to trans women every day. Like this misgendering, it's not. In terms of people don't report things to the police because I'd be ringing the fucking police every fucking 5 minutes. I wouldn't be allowed on Twitter because I'd be wasting police time, with the amount of things I'd have to report. So just get a bit of perspective on that, because honestly, the things that people have said about me and the police have done. I mean, I did report some things to the police because they were very extreme, and people were saying they were posting about where I was going out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that put me in danger. But police still didn't do anything about it. So this is another case of like media legal. Like there are cases like of that only come to fruition because of the media, and you could say that the media do have a role to play, because like it was only because of the dramatization of the story of the post office that anything was done about it. And sometimes when it takes the media to take notice, it takes the media to see the depth of the abuse, like on all the corruption, and that is what. But I don't know, because the British media are very wrapped up in this whole narrative about trans women. I think J.K. Rowling funds most of it. She's kind of protected. You never see any negative articles about J.K. Rowling, do you? And when you do, what happens? They don't stay up very long, do they? There was a really good one by barrister Sam Fowles, who wrote about the four-starter ruling and said, explained why, you can't just misgender somebody. I'll show you that in a minute, actually, because I saved it. But let's just watch this. Anyway, I'm ranting a bit because I'm annoyed. Sorry.
J.K. Rowling has definitely committed a crime. I'm legally a woman. She knows I'm a woman, and she calls me a man. It's a protected characteristic.
That's not.
And that is a breach of both the Equalities
That's not the
Act
malicious communication. It's the
Gender
fact that she's
Recognition
targeting you.
Act. She's tweeted that out to 14 million followers. If you check out the accounts that have been responding to me on the back of that, her trigger, it's absolutely disgusting, putrid, some of the worst abuse I've ever seen on social media. And I know I'm at the centre of it, and I might be a little bit biased.
Well, what are you going to do about this?
What am I going to do about it?
We see it. India's right. There's so much abuse, and it's the followers of J.K. Rowling. You think, wouldn't you, that if J.K. Rowling did originally have any genuine concerns about self-ID and what it, trans people, she'd take a look at who follow her and who boost her posts and who are her most active followers now, and she might reflect on that, but she won't, because she's fully on board with it. And she has been for some time, so it's not a surprise to India. She's obviously speaking about the particular thing that happened this week. She could probably write a book about the whole abuses she's got. Because it's not unusual. Like I said, all trans women get it.
Well, I've been to the police and I've reported it as an issue. I contacted Northumbria Constabulary yesterday.
So you reported J.K. Rowling?
I have reported J.K. Rowling to the police for what she said, which I don't know if that's going to be treated as a hate crime, malicious communications, but it's a cut and dried offence as far.
I'm not sure about the thing with social media. There's a lot of to and fro, and malicious communications, as far as I understand it, it's when you because it comes out of old laws, like say somebody posted a letter through your letterbox, or so that was very cut and dry. If somebody's sending you something disgusting in the mail, that is definitely a crime. But with social media, because we comment, we engage, we are complicit to some degree in the vexation. That's the issue. Because J.K. Rowling, as far as I know, has not emailed India Willoughby. She's not DM'd India Willoughby. And that's the problem she might have, because India has been very vocal. But it still remains the fact that the only reason this has happened is because India is trans. If she'd have been anybody else, J.K. Rowling wouldn't even know who she was. You know, that's what we've got to remember.
As far as I'm concerned. And at the end of the day, it is a hate crime. Trans gender identity is a protected characteristic, just as race is, just as sexuality.
Yeah, that's what they want to get rid of. That's what the whole mission of Sex Matters is, to get into, corrupt the Equality Act, to say that people with gender dysphoria or have got a GRC or whatever it is, or however you define yourself, that is not legal, so you don't become female in law. That is what they want, you know. So if this went to a case where and a judge ruled in favour of J.K. Rowling, it wouldn't change any of that. It just mean that all it would mean is a load of idiots on the internet would think they'd won something. And
the equivalent of what J.K. Rowling said, calling a trans person a man, deliberately knowing that that person is a woman, and I am a woman, regardless of what J.K. Rowling says. I've been through everything that's required of me. My birth certificate says female.
Another thing, right? I know she's probably misspoke here, but there's nothing required of anybody to be trans or anything, you know. Then there shouldn't be, because there's no barometer there's no incremental, like I said in the previous video about the media, that this idea that there's sort of an incremental trans woman, because India has gone in for that narrative before of there being a true trans woman that has done everything that's required of her to be accepted, and it's a misnomer.
My passport, all of my documents, I am legally recognised as a woman. And for J.K. Rowling to deliberately, and that is the key word, misgender me, knowing who I am, is grossly offensive. It is a hate crime.
So, yeah. If India finds it grossly offensive, it is grossly offensive. Whether she's the trans bit, you know, if you find something grossly offensive, you own that. You know, somebody can't come, well, that's not offensive, so you're wrong. You know, India finds it offensive. There's going to be trans women coming out who are around, who support Rowling, or say, I don't find it offensive. I don't find it offensive. Call me a man if you want. There will be people saying that. It doesn't matter. It's what India finds offensive that is important here. India could have been called anything by J.K. Rowling. If she finds it offensive and it's putting her in some kind of danger and she feels like she's being targeted, the gender thing is not relevant. It's the fact that she's being targeted by somebody with, like she said, 14 million followers. A large proportion of them are anti-trans and will target India Willoughby. She won't be able to have an experience online, because the people that will come for her, I mean, I think she shuts down comments on everything now, but people will be retweeting and people will be screenshotting, and every little troll who's come from Kiwi Farms and Mumsnet, which are both connected in my mind for some reason. That's weird. But they'll be going at it, and that is what J.K. Rowling has enabled. It's not about misgendering. It's not about calling a trans woman a man. It's about targeting an individual for the sole reason that they are trans, right? There's no other reason. That's the reason behind it. And if India Willoughby finds that offensive, then she's right. She's offensive.
And it should be treated just as somebody calling a black person the N-word, or an Asian person the P-word, or...
I don't want to I don't have to break this to you, India, but people do that all day on Twitter as well, to black people, to Asian people, to Jewish people. And in Elon Musk's free speech nirvana, what he's discovered is it brings out the worst in people. It's like Twitter is kind of a school playground where suddenly the teacher has said, you can say anything you want now, it's open season, enjoy yourself. So the first thing they think of is like, oh God, I can say that now. And it's like a total meltdown of bullshit. I think that's the end of that. So yeah, I was... So yeah, I mean, I agree with India. Obviously, there's a follow-up here. I didn't see this earlier. This is the first time I'm seeing this, so I hope it's okay. Yeah. Just do... Oh.
I reached out to I'm a journalist for Byline TV. I reached out to India Willoughby last night because I saw comments that J.K. Rowling made about her being a man. I emailed both parties, asked them both to be interviewed for Byline TV. The only person that replied was India. We sat down for about an hour. That full interview will drop tonight on Byline TV's YouTube channel, so you should definitely check it out. In that, I used journalistic integrity. I questioned them about the rise of detransitioners. I questioned them about some of the darker side of the trans community and some of the issues that...
Hang on, what's he doing that for? I'm not quite sure, unless India has agreed to talking about those subjects. But this is not about... He shouldn't be interviewing her about those talking points. He should be talking about what has actually happened, because this is about social media abuse. You know, that's what it's about. It's about the fact that there are people out there that are emboldened to say abhorrent things about people and get actual malicious communications where there is no cut and dry. There's no doubt. It's just absolutely abuse. I could show you tweets now that were directed at me by individuals around who follow J.K. Rowling, and you'd probably be shocked if you're not somebody that's in this trans debate as it's become known.
Women have raised and cis women have raised in terms of their safe spaces. It was a very, very balanced interview, and I stand by it entirely. J.K. Rowling has responded to this video in the last hour, and I'm having a lot of criticism for only having India on the channel. So, J.K. Rowling, if you want to have a balanced interview...
Oh, is this him trying to... I've got a bit cynical about this, because I feel like this little dude is trying to use this to advance his journalist career. Fair enough, fair if that's what you want to do, but... J.K. Rowling ain't going to talk to you. J.K. Rowling only talks to people who've already signed an affidavit to say they're only going to repeat exactly what she says and they're not going to take her words out of context. J.K. Rowling doesn't do interviews because she has to protect the fact that she can't answer to those arguments, because when those arguments are on the table in front of her and somebody's asking her about these things, she cannot make logical arguments. In the same way Helen Joyce could not when I spoke to her. She just reads the same repertoire about sports, prisons and single-sex spaces, and it's nonsense. And that's the reason J.K. Rowling ain't going to talk to you, mate. Not because she's too high and mighty or she's too celebrity. It's because she's got nothing to say, and she relies on other people to say it for her. There'll be people emailing this guy going, I'll talk to you, and it'll be like Julie Bindel.
And you want to have the exact same thing that I did with India, then I can get a train to Edinburgh, or you can come to London and we can do exactly the same format with exactly the same journalistic integrity. The offer still stands. Both of you were reached out to. Let me know. See,
this both sides in thing, like it's India in one corner and J.K. Rowling in. That's bullshit. That's not how this is going to work. So yeah, you've got people like Furcop chiming in as if they don't get me started about Harry Miller and Sarah Fillmore and Charlie Sansom. Somebody has spoken to before. What's he saying? What's the time wasting? Yeah. He's just saying what you'd expect, really. I've gone off track a bit. I'm interested in what Professor Stephen Whittle had to say. good stick to criminal harassment and or malicious communication? Well, possibly. You can go down that road. But, like I said, my initial thoughts on all of this are just fucking don't go there. It's not going to benefit anybody. It's not going to, I was trying to think of a way this could be positive. Like, I was talking about the media and sometimes can shine a light on something that is happening. But the thing that is happening is social media is a horrible place for trans people. That is the story. And if we're not going to address that, if we're not going to talk, if we're just going to make this about J.K. Rowling calling India Willoughby a man, then I'm not there for it. If we're going to talk about the fact that India has ended up in this position because of the way social media is absolutely abhorrent for trans people, and trans activists and trans journalists and trans allies are bullied off social media by people like J.K. Rowling and her followers, we can talk about that. I want to have that conversation. So all that's happened really is J.K. Rowling's made... The message is really that J.K. Rowling's made social media a fucking hellscape and helped to do that for trans people. And the amount of money she's ploughed into lobby groups. She gave like £70,000 to like a Scottish... I think it was... what they call For Women Scotland or something. All they do is stand with banners saying trans women are men. That's all they do. They don't do anything for women. It's all a load of bullshit, and she's funding all that, and that needs investigating. Needs to be a real serious criminal corrupting, investigation into that corruption, because that's what it is, and into the corruption into our institutions that I don't doubt that she's funded. So yeah, fuck J.K. Rowling. I love India, but I don't want it to be about India. I don't want it to be about J.K. Rowling. I want this to be about the fact that this is being caused by the fact that social media is toxic. Anyway, bye for now.
Did you know that if you wash your cat with a wet toothbrush, it reminds them of their mother? Did you...